Now on Sunrise, a heated exchange on Capitol Hill. Local reaction to the shouting match between President Trump and Ukraine President Zelensky. Plus, a Rose City budget crunch. Sweeping cuts likely on the way to make up for a $93 million shortfall. Your news starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for getting up with us early on this Saturday morning. I'm Thomas Schultz, in for Libby Dowsett. We'll get to your headlines in just a minute, but first, let's check in with Daisy Caballero for a first look at our Saturday forecast. Daisy?
Welcome to Sunrise,
Thank you.
Thomas. So happy to have you. And good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. Not a lot going on in our atmosphere. Of course, you can start to see from our satellite and radar some clouds starting to move a little bit closer to the coast, which will be hitting us a little later on into the day. But for now, we're seeing some clear skies, a temperature of 39 degrees, a little bit different though as we're looking down I-5. Salem looking very foggy this morning. So fog pockets all across our region, especially up and down the I-5 corridor, up in Scappoose, Salem, Corvallis, and we are seeing some improvements for Eugene, but that fog is definitely impacting folks as we're headed down south. Quick look at your current temperatures this morning. 33 degrees for Boring, one of our cooler spots alongside King City. 43 though, warmer, 10 degrees warmer for Westland. And looking at the rest of our map, 43 degrees for Newport. And in the 20s as we're looking over east, in the teens for Burns this morning. So here's your day at a glance. By noon, we will be seeing mostly sunny skies, a temperature of 57 degrees by 5 o'clock. We will start to cool down and then we'll start to turn cloudy. So is the rain going to be coming? Is it not going to be coming back? I'll let you know in my full forecast coming up. Back to you.
Thank you, Daisy.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
It's the moment that has lots of people talking this morning after a contentious meeting between Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Donald Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance. The meeting in the Oval Office Friday, meant to bring Ukraine closer to ending its war with Russia, devolved instead into a shouting match. Alma McCarty spoke to a local group striving to protect and assist Ukrainians here and abroad.
We stand with Ukraine! Ukraine's president arrived in Washington, D.C. Friday to fierce allies lined up on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Slava Ukraini!
Among the group, Catherine Pedersen with Dawn, a Portland nonprofit supporting Ukrainians. The country now more than 3 years into a war with Russia after the February 2022 invasion.
We do pretty much anything you can imagine volunteers pitching in with, from fundraising to send money to folks on the front lines who most need help, to helping support Ukrainian refugees start a new life here.
While she expected the Oval Office meeting between Zelensky and Trump to be tense, she didn't expect this kind of interaction in front of cameras.
It was a disaster.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I would never treat a guest in my house that way. And I don't feel comfortable that someone elected to represent us treated a guest like that in our house.
Zelensky left the White House after President Trump called off signing a deal that would give the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, a move to pay back the U.S. for billions of dollars in aid. Politicians backing the president, like Senator Lindsey Graham, applauded Trump and Vance for, quote, standing up for America.
We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again.
Pedersen and others, however, see this as a dangerous step backwards.
I can't think of a more powerful signal to that effect than us throwing our friends under the bus. Occupation by Russia is not peace.
Pedersen says Americans can help support Ukrainians in Portland by reaching out to elected leaders. Supporters will stage a rally this afternoon at the Salmon Street Fountain beginning at 4 o'clock. Lake Oswego police shared this security camera video of a suspect who shot at a local CEO's home. As we reported, this happened in the Westlake neighborhood at the home of Chip Terhune in the early morning of February 21st. Terhune is the CEO of the nonprofit workers' comp insurance company, State Accident Insurance Fund, or SAFE. Governor Tina Kotek commented on the shooting, condemning the violence, and asked anyone with information to come forward. Investigators also shared a photo of the driver they believe witnessed the shooting. The driver was last seen in a 2019 or newer Toyota RAV4. Detectives want to hear from him as soon as possible. A man who allegedly hijacked a TriMet bus at gunpoint last month will stay behind bars until trial. Hosea Chambers appeared before a Multnomah County judge Friday afternoon for a preventative detention hearing, but waived his rights to the hearing before the proceedings started. Prosecutors say on January 29th, Chambers waved a gun and fired off rounds at Northwest 5th and Gleason. At one point, he hopped on a bus and allegedly held the bus operator at gunpoint, forcing him to drive around the block. The driver was eventually able to get off the bus safely. Chambers was taken into custody after an hours-long standoff. The city of Portland faces a $93 million budget deficit. Friday, city leaders shared their early plans to close the gap. They include sweeping cuts across nearly all city departments. For now, public safety is spared, but there's still a long way to go to balance the budget. Portland's general fund includes new spending like Mayor Keith Wilson's proposal for a new overnight homeless shelters and day centers. The city blames falling property and business tax revenue, inflation, expiring pandemic-era funds, overtime, and healthcare costs for its budget problems. City Administrator Michael Jordan is proposing cuts across the board, which could include eliminating parks programs, closing a community center, and reducing repairs for roads and sidewalks. The cuts currently don't affect police, fire, 911, and Portland street response. Jordan said he knows public safety is a priority for the community, so he left that out. But the proposal still leaves a gap of tens of millions for the mayor and council to fill somehow.
To be fair, there's still a $57 million gap. And part of the way to fill that gap might be a discussion about public safety. And there aren't really any good choices here.
As with any budget cycle, this is an early plan that can change. Portland is planning on receiving money as well from the state legislature that could help reduce the shortfall. And as Portland City works to balance its budget, a new study shows the metro area is suffering economically. One reason for that, an exodus of people from Multnomah County and some surrounding counties taking their labor and tax dollars with them. We spoke with the lead economist of the report about bucking the trend of a fading economy here in the metro area. Here's what he had to say.
So while we could once count on growth without having to do much, we are now entirely reliant, or soon will be entirely reliant on migration. And then the question is international versus domestic. And what we see in Multnomah County in particular, and Washington County to a certain extent, is the loss of people domestically. That's offset, thankfully, by in-migration internationally. But the root cause of the challenge that we're seeing in this region and many other urban areas have similar circumstances.
You can learn more about the economic state of the metro area and what economists say everyone can do to grow the local economy on the next Straight Talk. That airs tonight and tomorrow at 6:30 and on Monday at 7. Or watch it on your schedule anytime on the KGW Plus TV app. Caught on camera, last weekend's storm wreaked havoc all over the state, including on the Oregon coast, where this happened. That's dash cam footage from a Lincoln City police cruiser. That officer was headed down Highway 101 Saturday afternoon when a tree came down out of nowhere right on top of them. Luckily, they escaped serious injury, but the vehicle was badly damaged. An oncoming vehicle received some minor damage, but the driver was not hurt.